April the 17th on a Wednesday, and this morning I drove out to the Eastside Park and observed and participated in the memorial service for Colonel Don Carlos Faith Jr. out there at the park. And today, about this time, they're getting ready to bury him at Arlington Cemetery. So if you want to know more about Colonel Faith, there's a marker up there that explains his Medal of Honor status at the Eastside Park. I also just had a long conversation with Roy Wachter about the Blue Hole and his play, and we're going to work with him on getting him some pictures that would support the production of the play afterwards, the video that they're doing from the play. And also spent a little time this morning with Larry Stafford and some other people at the Washington Family Restaurant. So I've had a busy morning this morning. We're getting ready to get some work done upstairs at the desk. I saw Jim Perkle this morning a little bit and talked to him a little bit. So we're going to have a busy day today. If you need a bus ticket for the Don Cosby tour, come in and see us or call us and let us know. We have the tickets here. There are tickets that are available. That's going to be on April 28th. You should be here around 1 o'clock. The tour started at 1:30. And we're also gearing up this week for the Earth Day celebration downtown. So you need to be checking with that. There's going to be a lot of things going on Saturday. And then we're also working on the Rail Fest. So I'll talk to you later. Well, I would have come if I'd known that. I'm with Jim Perkle here. He's our board member and also my main tour guide up on the 4th floor. And the 4th floor features the Gill Funeral Exhibit, and it's one of the most unusual and outstanding exhibits in the whole country. It's something that you just really don't know how good it is until you see it. And when Jim does the tour, he becomes a historian, and that he is telling the history of the country through the eyes of something that every person that's ever lived in the country has had to go through, which is a funeral. And that's something that the textbooks that I used to teach out of never addressed. And it was something that should have been addressed, because that was something that was going on in every era of the country. So Jim, we've got the Rail Fest coming up on May 18th, and I've asked you to do a little research on how the trains entered into your profession during that time. Could you talk a little bit about that?
The trains were the only means of transportation at that time. Airfare hadn't come into being. And they would always come in the middle of the night, but we would get down there, and then they would be 30 minutes to an hour late. And so we didn't have time to go back and get in bed and get up again and be down there within an hour. So we had to sleep on those old train station benches. Yeah. And so, but anyway, if you passed away in St. Louis or in California, that was how you got back home, was by trains.
And how that, you told me that went on until what time period did that stop?
Well, probably the late 60s or the early 70s.
Okay.
Is it time for me to go? Or?
Front door open.
Okay. Transportation would have been by train.
Yes, yes, and then nowadays it's done by plane.
Oh, yes.
So you just retired a few years ago, so that changed from you going down the train station out to the airport?
Well, we had to go to Evansville.
To Evansville?
You know, and then when they only went to commuter planes, then we had to go to
So that was a lot more expense for you guys to go all the way to Indy.
And we would have to charge the relatives for that.
Oh yeah, that'd be a big expense. I don't imagine those hearses got very good gas mileage. Going all the way up to Indy and back, that's a 2-hour trip at least to the airport. So the trains were important to the history of our funeral exhibit, in that when Jim was working at Gill's Funeral Home from 1957 until, when did you retire? It was
4 years.
4 years now. Geez,
It'll be 4 years.
Can't believe that. I can't hardly believe it's been 4 years. But in all that time period, up until the early 70s, he would have been spending time from time to time down at the train station in the middle of the night, waiting on a casket coming in, which I'm sure Margaret probably had some coffee waiting for you when you got back home. So you always talked about how much she had to put up with. There's another example of her supporting you in your profession.
But anyway, Margaret would, when the first 8 years that we were married, we lived upstairs in our apartment. And so anyway, people would talk about, maybe we would have 4 or 5 bodies downstairs, you know.
Yeah.
And they would say to her, my goodness, aren't you scared when he goes? And
finish it up.
And so anyway, she said, no, I'm only afraid of the live people, not the dead people.
All right, then we'll finish up for this segment of the video blog. And Jim, thanks for sharing that with us.